Hi, Raj. How are you? Good to have you on Head to Heart.
Thank you so much, Han. Really appreciate the opportunity.
So let's get right into it. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your professional journey?
Okay, sure. So basically, I'm Raj, and that off bat is always a conversation starter because I have a different name to say the least. But I think, like, as a marketer, first, I can tell the good part is that it has a lot of brand recall. So people don't forget. So top of mind, I think I make it quite there. Well, quite there. So anyway, basically, so I'm an IBA graduate. I did my bachelor's and then my MBA from IBA. So I've always been like a hardcore business professional, very focused there. I did my undergrad in finance and then I did my MBA. And the first place where I landed after doing my MBA was NayaPay. So we've been at it quietly building it for about 4 years now. I'm part of the founding team. What I like to say is that I was at NayaPay when NayaPay was blue and now it's orange. So we've really been through the journey. So when I came, we were actually just making it. At that point, there was no concept of product or, even we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that we wanted to make some impact. And here's a pain point, here's a problem that we can solve. There's a massive opportunity. What can we do about it? Right. So we did everything literally. So as we are growing now and becoming more structured, we have more defined areas. But when we started out, we were doing everything ourselves. And from the UI UX of the app to market research, sort of understanding what the consumer pain points are, then doing the market research, then building out a UI UX on it, working with obviously experts in the field, but then sort of we were the local representatives because obviously we bring to the table what the customer is facing, what his problems are. Right. Doing that, then towards building a brand. So like as founding team, literally you wear so many hats, which is why just the concept of product today is a little strange for us. Like because we think that the whole founding team is actually a product owner because that is the core proposition. And if everybody doesn't own it, and if it's just the responsibility of this one person, then how do we even take it forward?
So, and interestingly, I also saw that you were also heading strategy, right? Or are you still doing that? Both things.
So again, it's basically like, I work with Danish Lakhani on it. And obviously he's our CEO and he's the founder. And we help out where we can. But like I said, so as part of the founding team, you wear so many hats. Absolutely. That now that when we are specializing, so it just seems like we've still got our hands in a lot of pots and we still keep doing everything. But it's good to be specialists. However, as founders, you have to do everything. And if you aren't really involved into it till the last mile, I don't think you're being fair to the investors, to your consumers, or even to yourself.
True. So tell me, what's the goal when working on design for a product? What's the ultimate goal?
Customer delight. If I had to really put it into 2 words, I would say customer delight and creating like an experience for them that not only sort of solves the problem that they're having, but doing so in a very simple and intuitive manner. So our goal has always been, and my mindset personally has always been that it has to be simple, not simplistic. Because you don't have to assume that people are stupid. People are very smart, especially your digital natives. And, if you try being patronizing or condescending to them and they'll tell you what is what, So correct. Simple, intuitive, and so just let it be just something that just flows naturally for them. So it creates that delight. Of course, it has to be based on a deep understanding of what they want, but give it to them. And one of the most important things, which I feel might not be that might not be so common in Pakistan at this stage, but will be inshallah soon, is incorporating the user themselves in when you're building the product. Right. So product design should not just be you and me or whoever and our assumptions based on, of course, on research, yes, but then our assumptions and carrying it for what we think or what is internationally a best practice or the most intuitive way of thinking, and then just launching it. It's important that they have an equal seat on the table because ultimately they're the ones who have to use it. Right. So that's an important component of product design. And I'm seeing more and more of that happening in Pakistan. And that's really great. That's something that I personally identify with also. Also, if you involve the users in the building of the product, that builds your tribe of champions early on, because this is something that, they put their sweat and blood in. So they are happy to put their money behind it also.
And also they begin to own it, right? Because It's something that they helped create, right?
Yes, exactly. So the kind of ownership that we feel, because this is our little baby, they'll feel some, even if they feel some portion of also, then we've done our job. Then the market will create itself for us. We don't even have to put so much marketing dollars behind it, to be honest.
Okay, now, how important do you think user experience is? Because we see a lot of products coming out in the market, and user experience is not something that they look at. But I noticed that with your product, user experience, there's a lot of thought that has gone into it. So how important do you think that is? And do you think a lot of time should be spent on that?
Definitely. I think it's one of the most underrated, but the most important aspects of product design of the business, actually, especially for digital and app-based products like ourselves, where we don't have any other physical interaction with the customer per se, like we don't have a branch, we don't have an outlet. So what the customer sees as the face of the company, as the face of the brand, is basically your app and the experience that they have over there. So it's critical, and you at NayaPay, I can at least say that we're obsessed with it, like actually fanatically obsessed with trying to improve our user experience, and which is why, like, you see us as the founding team, like we're always on support channels. Half the time, if you reach out on support, you're actually talking to us, because that's as close. We really want to be close to the customer and understand. It's so ingrained in our psyche that what happens is, when we get the slightest amount of feedback that the user experience is not sitting so well, being the benefit of being a tech company, of course, is that you can be super agile and you can make those changes really quickly. So user experience is so important that for us, it doesn't take us a minute to question our own beliefs or what we thought would fly. And if the customer is saying this is not working, hey, let's change it immediately, because ultimately that's the face of the company.
There's no ego. There's no ego involved. It has to work for the customer. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of part of the ownership, right? Like if we have any ego about it, that we know better, then I don't think we'd be able to scale at all, because these guys have to really champion us. It's what we are doing is kind of category creation. So if we don't build our own champions or a super intuitive user interface, I don't think we'd be able to go very far.
Okay, tell me, what is the gender ratio of product and also of strategy professionals in Pakistan? And is there any way that we can improve the numbers?
Well, it is skewed in favor of the men, I'll be honest. But however, it may not necessarily be so by design. Because there was just a study that I was reading the other day. We live in a world where 3% females say that a career in technology is not their first choice, is their first choice. I'm sorry. So 3% women say that it's their first choice. So really, 97% of the female population, for example, doesn't even consider going towards technology, let alone product or strategy in this particular field.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that happens? Because it worries me. It worries me that they don't.
I'll apply it to myself, even I did. So I was very intimidated by technology in early years, like when I was doing my schooling. And also business school kind of ingrains in us that, the FMCG mindset, that because that's the only place you can, that's the only place in the world for you. That's the only career. If you're not selling soap and detergent, you've really not made it. Like, I have a lot of respect for people who do that. A lot of my friends do it. They'll kill me if they hear this. But, so at that point, we were all very obsessed with that mindset. It didn't occur to us that we could do something in technology. And this is not very long ago. I did my MBA in 2017. So it's just a few years ago, like 5 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah.
And when I was coming to Cybernet and when I was coming to NayaPay, that's actually one of the questions that I was very concerned about. That I said, I don't know anything about technology, and it's a lot of zeros and ones, and I don't know how I'll figure my way around it. And I don't even know how to use an antivirus. My brother does it for me, as gender roles would have it. But actually, but once you really get to it, it's not that difficult. Like, it's all logic. Like, if you can make the logical patterns, and if you have the right team. So like I've been very lucky that I've been working with technology teams that, where there is a give and take. So while I give them the business view, the consumer view, the product view, and how something would work, they teach me the technology bit of it and kind of dumb it down for me so I get it. And once you have the basic architecture in your head, it's not really that difficult. I feel this exposure is missing. And maybe not even at a university age, but probably at a high school age, which is where when we can actually make an impact. So I remember when I was in my schooling years, the most exposure that we had to technology was these IT classes that we used to have where they would teach us Microsoft Office.
Oh, I know. My pet peeve.
You know, right? And
Yeah.
this is not that long ago. And I'm just like, so then we never really had that, like that passion or even an exposure. It just seemed something very, very, very daunting and intimidating. So you're just like, okay, maybe I won't, or maybe you need to be super great at maths, or like it's a lot of, I don't know, you know, so it's kind of, it never occurred to us. We weren't counseled on this, that, you know, technology is for you also. And clearly by the numbers, this is not just a Pakistan problem, it's a global problem.
It's a global problem. Yeah.
Today, when we go out to do hiring, sorry, I'm just going on a rant here, but
No, please go ahead.
So like I try to make sure, I'm a feminist myself, it's a cliched word, but yeah, like I want more women in the workforce, and I think they should be more empowered. We have a lot to bring onto the table, and really we should do more. But so when we set out, I noticed that, so while on the business side, for example, we have a great gender balance, on the tech side, it isn't. And but it's not by design. Again, it's not by design. There aren't that many females graduating in technology fields. What do you do? Like, there aren't a lot of programmers, Android developers, iOS developers. There are some, and the number is slowly increasing. But if we don't do high school level counseling, I guess this ratio is going to stay skewed.
And is anyone doing anything about it, you think?
Well, there is.
I know in some small way all of us are, but do you think there's anything we can do in a concerted fashion collectively so that, you know, things start to change?
I think we can. You're right. So there are initiatives like Code Girls, where they're kind of mentoring girls and teaching them basic. They're doing boot camps for to teach girls how to code. But like, yeah,
again, there's small in numbers, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, it is something, and every little counts. But I think something broader needs to be done. And maybe role models, highlighting them, showing young women that, look, there are technologists who are women and who are doing amazing work, making an impact. Maybe that's one way of doing it. I don't know.
No, I agree with you on that, actually. So lack of women role models or mentors is a problem. So like you said at the beginning, you can actually count on your fingers, like female technologists currently in Pakistan. And you're amongst those, but the number is quite small. And also access to these then. So maybe if we had curated programs where you had access, and like people like us, I guess, I mean, I'm sure, okay, I'll count myself also, but I'm just starting out.
No, absolutely. I think it's more important actually for younger women like yourself to be there in front of these women, because, you know, people like me, first of all, I wasn't a technologist. I sort of stumbled into technology and it became my life. But it's more important for younger women to be projected as role models, simply because you would associate much more easily with those young women who are now graduating out of university or who are in high school, because, you know, they wouldn't relate with me as much. So I think that's why it's more important to have younger people on panels and in fireside chats and in discussions and projected on television or wherever, because that will make the difference.
I agree with you on that, actually. And it's a responsibility on us also to sort of give back a little bit wherever possible, because you need for people to be accessible also. Sure, you could have role models, but are they accessible? Are they a message away? Can you message role models on LinkedIn and maybe ask them for help or guidance? So we do small activities, like, for example, like because I'm from IBA, they do career clinics that we recently did. It's a 1-hour initiative where you go and you participate in the career fair, but also you give time and you coach them on how to interview better.
Yeah.
and what are organizations expecting. But we could take it up a notch and maybe partner with institutions actually, because that's a good place to connect with this younger lot, or like maybe accelerators or the startup, the accelerators are like really at the heart of the startup ecosystem. So, and they're given the recent wave of interest in startups, a lot of students and young girls are looking at this space and watching these, what the trends are, who can I sort of benchmark to and follow. So you're right, like maybe we could partner with like IB alums and other technology schools also, and have them host not just these CV and interview guidance sessions, but also maybe career path on what you can do. And don't, kind of like my message would be, don't hold yourself back and just restrict yourself to marketing or finance and FMCGs, for example. But someone needs to tell them this.
Yeah, right. Okay, now let's get back to NayaPay, which is really exciting. So could you tell us a little bit about how NayaPay is helping the underbanked population through digitization, specifically women? How are you planning to do that?
So, like the numbers speak for itself. Like 1 in 3 adult women is banked, and this is just adult. So we're not even counting those under 18. It's a women. It does form. They are a part of our core target market, because we've been focusing on, and we are focused on homemakers, young homemakers, freelancers, students, and a good percentage of this is women. With this younger lot, you will see that they're students, but they're ready to take the first step in their financial journey, and they want independence much faster. So all of them have side hustles while they're studying. So it could be on freelancing on platforms like Fiverr, there'll be graphic designers, there'll be content writers, or if nothing else, they'll do TA-ship at the university itself or become research assistants. But there is lesser dependence on parents now for their own luxuries or extravagances.
Right.
And the use cases are there. The spending, transaction, payments use cases are there. With e-commerce increasing, especially in a post-pandemic world, they're transacting a lot online. In fact, they're taking a lot of their parents' transactions onto themselves also. So your bill payments, your grocery runs, all of it's being done digitally. Right. And themselves also, like for entertainment needs, there's Netflix, there's Amazon. Then they're doing all these online courses, Udemy, you name it. But so the use cases are there, the purchasing power is there. However, access is not available. So this is kind of what we identified also when we were doing our research. We said, there is the purchasing power, there is demand, there is willingness, there is technological efficacy also. So then what's missing? What's missing is that they're not being addressed. Nobody's designing for them, nobody's speaking to them directly. Conventional players come across as intimidating to them. There was another study that said that 8 out of 10 people prefer going to their dentist than to a conventional financial institution, and nobody likes going to their dentist. So then, okay, how can we make it? So that's what we set out to. How can we make it simpler for them, and while making a market for ourselves? So the use cases are there. So we're speaking to them, we're building out for them, we're keeping their use cases in mind, their access in mind. So for NayaPay, for example, you just need a smartphone, an internet connection, and your CNIC. That's the basic requirement. And you can create an account in under 3 minutes. And this is an account which has internationally accepted Visa virtual and Visa physical cards. It's accepted at over 40 million merchants across the world. And with all the control in the phone, because you notice with these people, like they're very controlling in the sense that they're so empowered that they don't want to speak to another person. If they want to make an online transaction, for example, they don't want to call someone and say कि 15 minute के लिए खोल दें, and card खो गया, आगे पीछे हो गया, freeze कर दें. So all of this, we've put it in the app. If you don't want to talk to a person, you don't need to. Of course, we are there. Like there's always a human there to talk to. You can do an in-app chat. You can call us up. We are available, but ideally you shouldn't. If you don't want to, you don't need to. It's all in the app. Then and we've made it into a chat-based interface, so you can transact with each other as well as merchants through a chat-based interface. Thanks to WhatsApp, it's very ubiquitous now. Like from drivers to dadis, like everybody at least has muscle memory around it. So so we've tried to incorporate that. So, and then, we put in like fun elements like stickers, very hyper localized. So it's that it caters to their particular psyche. So it's not, we don't want to position ourselves as someone very intimidating, but obviously we're not talking down to you also, because like I said, these guys are very smart, very empowered. So we're just like your nice, kind older brother, who you can chill with, but who you can also go for serious advice, because money is serious business. So that's kind of the space that we see ourselves in.
And are you targeting young people both in rural areas as well as urban areas, as well as poorer urban areas across the country? Or is it just the urban youth that you're targeting?
Well, we had started out with a focus on the urban youth, I'll be honest, because that's the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's the lowest one.
Yeah. So you start out from there and then build it out. Also, there is a certain aspirational value attached with the urban kids, and kind of that trickles down to the rural areas, and that's across the nation, across the world actually. So you benchmark, and it's easier to go down the pyramid than it is to go the other way around, right? But actually, now that we've gotten onto the ground, we're seeing a significant amount of traction from the rural areas also. See, places and villages and districts that honestly, like, I'm a little ashamed, but that I didn't know existed, or that I didn't know the names of. And we're getting traction from there. And these guys, they're transacting on AliExpress, on Netflix, e-commerce, Fiverr, gaming. So they're very, very aware of what's happening in the cities. And the need there is greater. In fact, when we were deploying our cards, we had to figure out how to get the card to these small districts, small cities, where their addresses weren't clearly marked. So you had to even deliver to, like, they were asking to deliver to like the corner store, and you can't do that by law. So it's something that, really, like, it was quite amazing to see. And so now we're speaking to everybody. Of course, our goal has been to establish a brand that's not so niche. But it should speak to everybody, because the use cases across the board, thanks to digital, are the same. Like, everybody's transacting on more or less the same platforms. The frequency could differ, or the magnitude of spending could differ, but the channels are quite similar. So, and now that broadband access is also increasing, little bit we are contributing to that, thanks to Cybernet and Strong Fiber. But so yeah, like, now we've set out for everybody, and we've tried to keep the conversation, our tone, simple, friendly, not too complex, jargonated, but not talking down also. So we're basically targeting all of them.
Yeah, very, very important. So tell us a little bit about the NayaPay arc, and what should startups expect in terms of utilizing tools for financial management on the NayaPay app.
So at NayaPay, we have like a two-sided platform strategy. Kind of like what we see in WeChat Pay, or what Alipay has done in China, or if you look at other emerging economies, you'll see it in Brazil. What that does is basically we have a separate proposition for merchants, and we have a separate unique proposition for consumers, and there is convergence, eventual conversion, and that builds to network effects, and then that kind of leads to 10x growth. That's our ambition. We're very ambitious people, clearly. So that's what we're trying to do, because we see that, there's nothing like WeChat in Pakistan, for example. In fact, the idea of NayaPay was born from Danish's trips to China. Okay. And like, he saw, and then we're like, okay, so there is nobody's really focusing on both sides of the platform here. So while for the consumers, we have this financial super app, and that's already in the market, and we are in an extended beta program. For the consumers, for the merchants, we're in an advanced stages of development of our ARC portal. What that does is, because when we spoke to merchants, we realized that they don't, like, we could acquire them for NayaPay only, but that's not what they need. Specifically the SMEs, who are actually like a significant portion of the Pakistani merchant base. More than 90% are actually SMEs, whether it be online or offline, your mom and pop stores. But in a post-pandemic world, online, so much of the younger lot has made these home-based businesses online, where it's either on social media, you're transacting on social media, or you have basic WordPress websites. So you have those also, but nobody's really catering to their payment needs. They want to accept cards. They want to accept bank transfers. They want a business bank account. They want their personal and financial to be separate, because as a result of their personal and business being the same, they were spending a significant amount of time just doing reconciliation at the end of the month. Okay, this is my personal expense, this is my business expense. And for a startup founder, like as one of the founding members, I can say every minute that you spend doing all this mechanical stuff, clerical stuff, is actually time that you could have focused on growing your business and hard cash. You're leaving money on the table. That's actually money on the table that you just left. So then that's why we wanted to go and design a proposition for SMEs, specifically with their needs in mind. So it's completely self-service. We don't have to come out to you. You can just sign up on the portal, and we'll give you universal acceptance. So that means that you can accept credit and debit cards. You can accept bank transfers. You can, Raaj also will be adding, but also other wallets, NayaPay, of course. So that with financial management tools, so there's one place where you can have your incoming, your all the money that you're receiving, the revenue, and all the spending that you're doing for your business. Will give you a business debit card in your business name. So, you know, it's nice, and like it gives you that like it's an aspirational value for the little guy, right? Seeing his business name on a card. So we have that because we want you, your personal financials and your business financials to be separate. Give you that respect of being an entrepreneur and being recognized to be so. So you'll be able to just manage your cash flows better with the ARC proposition. So not just accept payments or do better spend management, but altogether a complete SaaS-based solution.
Great, great. How do you deal with the issue of data privacy and data protection? Because people do worry they're sharing a lot of information using online tools like NayaPay. Is there specific focus on protecting the data that they submit?
Yes, definitely. So we are certified by PCI DSS, and we have a very, very strict information security team. And obviously, we're regulated by the state bank. We were the first ones to get the license. So the state bank is also very focused on this. So we have an ISO certification. We are certified by PCI DSS. We have a significant amount of controls in place to ensure the data protection. Because obviously, yes, these guys are trusting us with their information, and it must be protected. So as much as any financial institution, all these regulations, all these international best practices are very much in place at NayaPay.
Terrific. So finally, being a female head of product and strategy in a male-dominated sector, what are some of the learnings that you've had throughout your journey that you might want to share with others?
Okay, so I might be speaking from a place of privilege. I'll be honest, because where I work, I've been very lucky that the culture here is very, like, one of our core values, like sort of really embedded in our culture, is gender neutrality. So when we speak to one another, or when we are hiring also, we are not hiring men or women, we are hiring talent. So, and that is what we see. So in terms of rewards, in terms of growth, in terms of having a seat on the table, your voice being heard, it's all gender neutral. So you, as a woman, I'm expected to put in the same amount of work, effort, time as any male counterpart would, and my voice is equally recognized. So, so any learning that I give is with clouded behind that, because I've been very privileged. But obviously, I'd be very naive if I say that there isn't a gender bias or women don't have it tougher. All I can say is that all of us could do with a little more self-confidence. Make it happen for yourself. Like, nobody gets served on a platter. You have to step up. You have to show initiative. Do the work. Really do the work.
For me, it will be recognized. If you do the work, it will have to be recognized, because people will want somebody who can deliver and who can then help their company do better, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, who doesn't want to work, right? Exactly. Put in the work. It could be that you might get recognition a little later than a guy would. I haven't experienced it, but I'm sure many do. And but it will come to you. What's yours will come to you. Just keep at it. Don't lose hope, but just also have a little bit more, like, higher self-esteem, because all of us as women, I think, in this patriarchal society, we've been taught to kind of downplay ourselves and constantly doubt. So we'll think 5 times before saying something at a meeting, even though we know that this is the right answer, or we'll think maybe twice before correcting someone. Women being assertive may be seen as aggressive. But these are some stereotypes, or worse. Like, I'm just, yes, always.
But that shouldn't stop you, because, you know, if you know something to be right, it's your responsibility to speak up as well.
Yes, but we'll always doubt ourselves a little bit, and we've all been there. But so I think collectively, like as a group, maybe we could just do with a little more self-confidence and just go for it. Set a goal and go for it. Like personally, I've always been focused on the end goal. Like I have to get this job done. Now, how work backwards? How do I do it? So, sure, I might do it a little differently than a guy would, but then you use whatever you have in your toolkit. Women have more emotional intelligence, so use that. You could be more analytical, use that. So you don't have to approach something exactly how men do it. Do it your way, but just get it done, and what's yours will come to you.
In fact, that's the added value, because if you were doing it exactly like the men do, then what are you bringing to the table, right? So the different perspectives are what creates value for the organization in which you work and for the product that you're creating, because you are looking at it from two different perspectives.
Exactly. So true. Also, like one thing, like I just say that tune out the noise. That's something that's helped me personally. Tune it out. If there is some noise, you don't owe anybody anything. You just owe it to yourself. You have a goal. You go for it, girl. That's how I approach it. Just go for it.
So wonderful to talk to you, Raj, and so wonderful to see the confidence, to feel it actually. It's great, and I hope that we will have many more conversations with you. But
Sure.
Good luck in what you're doing, and good luck with NayaPay. I have applied. I hope that I get approval on my application, because it would be lovely to try out the app.
I will personally make sure you get it.
See, there was a reason. Thanks very much, and good luck, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Take care, Jahan.
All right. Okay, bye.
Bye.